Hello and welcome back to the Snakebite. It is our weekly sports show that will air every Wednesday evening at 5 this semester. I'm John Kristovich with James Simpson saying thank you so much for tuning into FSC TV. We've got a couple big basketball games coming up this week, including tonight's road battle with Palm Beach Atlantic. We'll talk about all that and more. Here is this week's edition of the Snakebite.
Let's start our show. We'll talk a little men's basketball. The team is riding high on a 3-game win streak. It has propelled them to second place in the Sunshine State Conference. The Mocs beat their rivals from the University of Tampa last week in dominating fashion by a final score of 96-67 as the team gets back on track from an injury-riddled month of January. 𝙏𝙃𝙀 𝙎𝙉𝘼𝙆𝙀 snatched 14 rebounds to go along with 18 points in the win, and he's now second in the conference in boards per game. I'm so excited about it, I dropped my pen.
Yeah, he didn't stop there. 𝙏𝙃, he has been dropping everybody. Rebounds-wise, he had another monster performance in Saturday night's win over Florida Tech here at home. The Mocs downed the Panthers for the second time this season in an extremely competitive matchup. You know, that Panthers team is really good, James. An absolute thriller. The game was pretty much within one possession for the entirety of the contest. And either team, nobody really took more than a 5 or 6 point lead throughout the contest. Jaden Booth, no surprise, was the star of the show. He not only scored 27 points, James, he locked down one of the conference's best offensive players in 𝙏𝙃 𝙀𝙀. He's right up there in terms of points per game, assists per game. He had just 6 one-made field goal on 13 shots from the field in a huge 80-74 victory. I had the chance to talk to Jaden after the big win.
All right, Jaden, 27 points, and I'm in. Tell me what's going through your head. Feels like this entire game, one possession. Well, what's going through your head in a game like this?
Yeah, man, that game was kind of personal to us. There was some talks about that was the best backcourt in the country, and so I loved having that matchup with Russell. He's a really good player. Credit to them. They're a very talented team, but I kind of wanted to show out tonight and show who I am and show what our team is capable of. Credit to my teammates, man. They played a heck of a game. I'm just super happy we came out with the win.
Well, you held 𝙏𝙃 𝙀𝙀 to 3 points today. Talk a little bit more about what happened defensively to make that a possibility.
Yeah, that was just my want-to, man. I really wanted to shut him down. I know he gets hot real quick in the first half, so I just wanted to make everything difficult, tough, and if he hit tough shots, we'll live with it. But I think I'm a pretty good defender, and I really love that matchup.
We'll talk a little about 𝙏𝙃 𝙎𝙉𝘼, another big night for him, rebound-wise. I mean, they had a big size advantage, it feels like, at times. What was it for you guys that helped you still get those rebounds?
Yeah, well, 𝙏𝙃, I'm nothing without that guy. Everything that I've learned here has basically come from him. So I love that kid. That's my brother for life. But, yeah, that's what he does. He rebounds the heck out of the ball. He makes big-time plays. But, yeah, our team is just a bunch of dogs, and I love them. And I'll ride with them to the end. So.
Well, congrats on the win, man. You guys are on the road on Wednesday and then a big one here next week, right?
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Great interview, John. That's a guy, he plays with a lot of passion, and it's showing up in the win column. Now let's take a look at the women's side, which also came away with the win over Florida Tech on Wednesday night. The Mocs were able to keep control of the contest after jumping out to a big first quarter lead, never really letting the visitors climb back into the game. The final score, 72-59, with the Mocs moving to 7-4 in the SSC. With the W, the team stands at 4th in the conference and would host a playoff game if the season ended today.
Yeah, James, this is the kind of game the Mocs needed to get back to their winning ways. You said they jumped out to a 13-point lead in that first quarter and ended up winning the game by 13 points. So sometimes that's all it takes. They were really helped by the performance of 𝙒𝙃𝙀𝙀 𝙎𝙉𝘼 in her second season with the Moccasins. She led the team in scoring with 14 points through 38 minutes of action. I'll tell you who really played well off the bench was freshman 𝙏𝙃𝙀𝙀 𝙀𝙀. She had 20 minutes of game time, again coming off the bench. 6 points, 5 boards, pair of steals, and no turnovers. Very clean game, especially through 20 minutes. Well, we talked to 𝙒𝙃𝙀𝙀 𝙎𝙉𝘼, the big sophomore, after the W on Saturday.
Hey, thank you guys. Here with 𝙒𝙃𝙀𝙀 𝙎𝙃𝙀. You had a big game today, leading scorer for the team, 14 points, shooting above 50% from 3. What was really leading to your offensive success today?
Just wanting to win, wanting to play as a team, wanting to come back from a loss against Tampa. We knew we had to get this one coming into the second half of conference play, so yeah, just wanting to win.
You talk about wanting to win. You guys kind of had to have a little resurgence there in that fourth quarter. It slipped a little bit. What change did you guys make at the end there to really regain that big lead?
We know that finishing games has been a struggle for us, so we just wanted to come out with a win. We wanted to finish strong and just get a win today.
Thank you.
Big win last Saturday after bouncing back from their loss at Tampa. Those teams are slated to be back in action tonight. They're taking on Palm Beach Atlantic, women at 5:30, men at 7:30, and of course, you can watch them live on the Sunshine State Conference Digital Network. A team that you will very soon be able to see on the Sunshine State Digital Network is the women's lacrosse team. They're ranked 7th in the country as the regular season draws near and have numerous preseason All-Americans on this year's rosters. Returners Lizzie Lynch, Haley DeLeo, and Ellie Griffin were all named All-Americans earlier this month, while transfer goalkeeper Mackenzie Gagan earned All-American honors as well.
Yeah, James McKenzie, a transfer out of East Stroudsburg University, and the Mocs sure are happy to have her. She led her team to the national championship last season before eventually coming up just short, so transfer, a lot of experience. Should be good stuff. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the SSC preseason poll, which, as you can see, has the Mocs atop the leaderboard according to the other coaches in the conference. It's a packed field as expected. The Mocs tied with Tampa for the #1 spot, won the tournament last year, beating the Spartans twice over the course of the season. Their losses came to Rollins, who the Mocs would go on to eventually beat in the SSC tournament, and a little bit of an outlier to Embry-Riddle on the road.
And we can also get a look at the preseason poll from the men's lacrosse side, and the Mocs are being picked to finish 3rd in the conference among the 8 SSC teams in competition. The Spartans are the defending champions, so that one is by no means surprising, but it is interesting that the Mocs were picked 3rd behind Rollins College, although it was a very close margin. The Mocs beat Rollins twice last season and late in the year too. First they beat them at home 16-11, then in the SSC semis, the Mocs won on the road in overtime in a memorable game.
Yeah, James, it was Sean Nolan who had the game winner in overtime, a career game for him. Certainly interesting. The Mocs will take that 3rd spot in the conference and hopefully look to make the doubters look goofy. Sean Nolan, by the way, a preseason All-American, as is defenseman Nick Shannon coming back for Marty Ward's squad. The men's lacrosse team will get going on their season February 3rd at Alabama Huntsville. That's coming up, while the women will wait until February 17 to take on Mount Olive on the road.
We've also got baseball and softball preseason rankings, with Mocs baseball slated to finish 5th in the conference this year after missing the NCAA tournament last year by what felt like just a couple of wins. The National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association announced earlier this week that pitcher Nate Madej and dominant first baseman Jeff LaCory were named to the All-South Region first team, while pitcher Eric McAddy was named to the honorable mention team.
And that Mocs baseball team going to begin their season in just 10 days as they take on West Florida in a 3-game series at home. Boy, it sneaks up on you. Well, we get a look at the softball preseason rankings here, and the Mocs are ranked rather low in head coach Mo Triner's 3rd season at the helm. This is a team, though, that started to find their groove towards the end of last year with some interesting pitching rotations, so do not be surprised. This team has a resurgent 2023 season. They get going at home against Ursuline College next Sunday in a doubleheader.
The men and women's swim teams competed against the defending NJCAA national champions Indian River State College this past weekend, and while they did not walk away with a W, their performance was nothing to hang their heads at. Eric McCann earned an individual event win in the 200 free, and Keith Peristerides was awarded his 3rd SSC Swimmer of the Week award after a pair of individual wins in the 200 free and 500 free. This makes him the first Moc ever to win 3 Swimmer of the Week awards in a single season. He's been dominant lately. Both teams will wrap up their regular season this Friday as they travel to Melbourne, Florida to swim against the Florida Tech Panthers. And the men and women's track teams will be competing at the Alachua County Collegiate Invitational this week. After the program's inaugural race 2 weeks ago at the Jimmy Carnes Invitational, the Mocs will look to run some fast times this Thursday and Friday.
Well, it's good stuff to see. We got baseball coming up, lacrosse coming up, first season for the indoor track team. The swim team's got championships on their mind. It's good stuff in the crossover season. Well, that brings us to our Week in Mocs History segment, and today we are looking at January 21st. 1978, the Florida Southern College women's basketball program earned their first win in team history in a 90-18 decision over Eckerd College. James, that was the first time that these two teams ever played each other, but how about this? Next Wednesday, the Mocs will face off against the Tritons for the 100th time in the school's history. We'll talk more about that next week and more. Until then, John Kristovich and James Simpson saying thank you so much for tuning into FSC TV. We will see you next Wednesday. Bye.